My first question is, how do you personally define what a lead designer is in terms of a role and in terms of the responsibilities that a lead designer holds?
Sure. If you are an experience of 1 to 3 years of experience, you will fall in PD1. Then we have
Mm.
PD2, roughly somewhere between 3 to 5 years of experience. Five
Mm-hmm.
to seven is an SPD. Seven and above
Okay.
is the lead position. Once you step up from a senior position role, there are two positions that open up for you. An IC role where you have to lead bigger projects. Obviously, there are people who are working along with you, but there is no one reporting to you directly. But you have to lead on to major big projects or probably platforms as well. And then there is also a managerial role which opens up to you, obviously, after a certain experience. In the managerial role, again, the position is something where you have to lead major projects, bigger projects, as well as platforms or products as well. At the same time, there are 2 to 3 people reporting to you when you just enter into a managerial role. Not a bigger team will be reporting to you, but probably 1 or 2 people, just to give you a sense of how a managerial role is. Most likely, the experience that I have seen people from senior position jump onto an IC role, take some experience as a lead designer where they are like given a specific platform or product to lead on bigger chunk of the platform.
And what about, let's say, if someone is interviewing for a lead role, do they specifically need to know anything about the domain apart from, all the skills that you expect from a lead role?
I mean, domain experience is definitely something that is a bonus if you understand your users really well. If you have been working on that particular domain, so then you already know that target audience you are building for, and you
Mm.
already know problems to a certain level. But
Mm.
then at the same time, I think if you are coming from outside, you have a very very fresh perspective on a new
Mm.
domain that you are working on. There are two skills that I personally look forward towards. One is the hard skills, like how skillful the person is in terms of design process, in terms of visual skills, doing the research on his own,
Okay.
how good you are with animations, prototyping, etc. So these are all the
Mm.
hard skills that are definitely must to have, right? Like you should be really good in all the hard skills. But at the same time, there are different soft skills as well, which personally I really look forward towards when I'm interviewing a person, which will not be written in any of the job descriptions. Like, team collaboration is something that we really look forward towards if we are hiring a person. If that person is culturally fit in our team, or is he talking more about him and his success, or is he talking about the team success as a whole? Is that person vision oriented or not? Is he just working on the problems given to him by the product managers or the business folks? Or is that person coming up with his own problem statements on the platform, either through understanding the users, either through analyzing the data? So I think if the person is able to find the problems, come up with the solutions, and innovate on the platform, that's something very, very important. Storytelling is also something very important at this point of time, which I
Okay.
again look forward towards when I'm interviewing a candidate. Is
Got
he
it.
able
Mm.
to frame the story around the problem statement? Is he able to frame the story around the solution he has provided? So, when
Mm.
you are looking at the case study, are you able to relate to that or not? Although at every stage it's important. But again, when you transition to a lead position, I think again it becomes very important because you have to present to stakeholders, you have to present to top leadership, you have to present your vision to them, right? So, are you able to help the other person understand the vision that you have in your mind? Then there are others as well. Like, are you able
Okay.
to
Interesting.
empathize with the people around you? When you transition to a leadership position, it's not about just the title.
Mm.
You are also somebody who juniors look up to. Do you have that skills of mentoring your juniors or not? And with that, emotional intelligence, I think, is something very, very important. So I think these are few soft skills that are important when you are sitting for an interview for a lead position.
I've created like a summary and list of points. So in hard skills, we have research, animation, prototyping, and I think everything else you are supposed to do as a designer, right? So obviously, being good at visual design, being good at product thinking, strategic thinking, and all these things, right? In soft skills, the specific point that I've noted is team collaboration, team success rather than individualistic, vision oriented, able to discover their own problems, come up with potential solutions, and also communicate it to stakeholders in a way that they are on board with the vision. And this person should also be able to make other people relate to their problem statement, like make them able to fit into their shoes, irrespective of their exposure or experience to that problem or not.
Correct.
It might sound like a stupid question, but how do Shruti evaluate soft skills like team collaboration, culture fit, vision, storytelling, and things like emotional intelligence? If you could help me as like figure out और टेल
Sure,
कि किस स्टेज पे क्या क्या सॉफ्ट स्किल्स किस तरीके से इवैल्यूएट होते हैं.
sure, sure. So, first is
Mhm.
your portfolio round, where we generally ask about the case study presentation. That usually gives us an idea about the communication of the person, about the storytelling of the person, because every project, no matter what position you are at, you have to manage your stakeholders, right?
Mm.
That's also kind of gives us an idea if the person was a good stakeholder, like if the person had good stakeholder management, at what stage did the person align their stakeholders or senior leadership? Did they align at the early stage or at the end stage? That's also tells a lot more about the person's team collaboration. Portfolio round does gives us a lot of idea about 2 3 soft skills that we had in mind. Then
Mhm.
second round is about the whiteboarding, where we again have either one lead or one senior person or two senior person giving the problem statement at that point of time, and that panel becomes a product person at that point of time, right? So that round is really very very important from the team collaboration perspective.
Got it.
That
Interesting.
also gives us an idea about how open the person is to receive and give feedback, because
Mm,
in the
okay.
same duration, in the same panel, in the same round, generally panel gives critical feedback also, right?
Okay.
Depending on the way the person respond to that, gives us an idea if the person is open enough to take the feedback or not. That
Mm,
also happens in the portfolio round as well. We sometimes
okay.
give very critical feedback, right? Just to understand if the person is open to feedback or not.
Okay. So like a pushback, or it's like a genuine feedback that you could have done this in different way and then just.
Genuine feedback just to understand how the person is reciprocating to that. But I think
Mhm.
giving feedback in the interview round is also very important. Like, you are
Mhm.
not just there to listen what the candidate is saying, because that doesn't happen in the real life situation. In the real
Yeah.
world, a manager does give feedback, right? And then as designers, there are few designers who get very personal to their designs, who get very attached to their designs, and that's not
Mm,
a very good skill to have, right? Like as a designer, you should always be open to all sort of perspectives, because when you're
mhm.
working in a real life situation, you will get very, very different perspective from different stakeholders. So understanding if the person is open to feedbacks or not. And then third round that we generally take is the cultural round, where we don't ask anything related to design, but just
Okay.
understand about, like, what the person does other than the design. Like what are their habits, what are their like day-to-day routine, like are they enthusiastic about something, if they are passionate about something, what do they do when they are passionate about something, how deep do they go into their passion. So that's also gives us an idea about the person's personality.
How does that usually help if there's a candidate who does not have a certain passion apart from, let's say, work? Help you classify a candidate.
So one thing which is important as a designer is, are you self motivated or not? If you're not self motivated, then every time there will be a person who will be required to push you to do certain things. Let's take an example of today's time, where there is so much happening around us in the world of AI, right? If you're not self motivated to learn or upgrade yourself to new technologies, new tools, you won't exist in next few years. Although as a manager, I keep on pushing my team to explore as many tools as possible, to read as much as to keep yourself updated with the technology. As a designer, it's very important to keep yourself self motivated. And I think, again,
Okay.
that just gives us an idea when you talk to certain people. Certain people don't just have any motivation around them. They're not passionate about anything other than their work,
Mm.
maybe. They might say, but then you just get that feeling that, this person doesn't have any passion in his life.
So more of that, it's to understand whether someone can take initiative or not, or if they identify
Correct.
something, can they like become a forcing function to achieve what they want to achieve?
Exactly.
Can you cite an example from the recent hirings that we have 2 or 3 candidates, right? All of them check boxes, but we can only select one.
Correct.
Assuming all of them have the background knowledge,
Correct.
right? They are self motivated. How do you nitpick, right?
Mm.
If you can answer that question, that would be great.
Correct. I think from the recent example, I like the differentiator that has been for me specifically. So we recently I've interviewed 2 candidates for a specific position. Both of the candidates were great with their hard skills as well as, like, more or less similar in their soft skills as well. And it was very difficult for the panel to decide. Everyone has their own opinions, but I'll just give you my point of view. For me, one thing that remains on top over everything else is because I personally feel that, even if you lack in hard skills, that can be trained. But soft skills is something that cannot be passed on to somebody else. You have a certain type of personality, and that core personality cannot be changed, right? For
Got it.
me, the soft skills have always taken a top priority over hard skills. And specific, coming to that specific soft skills, I still keep communication and clarity of thought over everything else.
Right.
And like, I don't feel good to say that, but I think I have rejected most of the candidates because of this skill.
So that kind of perfectly segues into one of the question that I want to ask is, so it's a two-part question. I'll ask the first part. I'm a senior designer, right? And now I want to take the transition, right? How do I know what soft skills do I lack at?
Okay. Hmm.
Right?
That's a little tricky question because I don't think people have that answer. Even I didn't have that answer with me till the time I experienced it myself, or till the time my managers told me or gave me feedback about a specific skill that I was not good at. So I think it just comes with time. Like, so one thing that I have made sure, I'll just again give you my personal experience. One thing that I was very, very sure about throughout my career is I never wanted to rush behind any positions or titles. I have
Okay.
always given myself time to absorb into that position. I have spent around, I think, 3 to 4 years at a senior position. And then
Mm.
again, I've spent 3 to 4 years as an IC lead position. So I
Mm.
think giving yourself that time is something teaches you about yourself. It's important to have good mentors around you, to be
Mm.
in the right team, to be with the right manager is something that teaches you a lot.
Okay.
When I talk to a lot of people around me, I've just seen them rushing to the next positions, or they are rushing to get the titles. But
Mm.
title doesn't give you anything in life, to be very honest, right? What
Yeah.
gives you, what makes you a better person is the experience. I understand that, there is so much competition around you, but at the same time, if you have to go long way, my mantra has always been to go slow. And if you are with the right company as in the people around you, not the organization, but if you have a right company around you where
Mm.
people are giving you feedback, be it positive or negative, and you are accepting it really well, that
Mm.
helps you grow a lot in your career, right? So
Okay.
I personally have taken a lot of feedback from my mentors.
Okay. So even that, right? Let's say I have done that, right? But still, whenever I'm, let's say, interviewing, I'm not able to go forward past a certain stage, right? And that stage is also not consistent in my interviews, right? So how do I still know that whether it's my hard skills that are stopping me or my soft skills? Because hard skills you can still see, people will give you feedback. Soft skills is something where you will probably get rejected, or you will probably get like a loose automated email that we are not going through, right? Is if someone, let's say, were to come to you and ask, hey Shruti, I want to transition into these roles, I'm not able to make through. I'm not sure if it's my hard skills or soft skills, where you suspect that that might be the soft skills,
Correct.
right?
So I think first of all, I will try to understand that person's personality, why that person is not able to crack the interviews, how he has been preparing for the interviews.
ठीक है.
Let's make an
Okay, okay.
assumption that the person is good with hard skills, but for some
Got it.
reason he's not able to crack that. So I will first of all try to understand not how he has given an interview, but what has been his way of working throughout and what he has been doing throughout the last, let's say, 2 years as a senior designer, right?
Hmm.
Because again, when you're sitting for an interview as a senior designer, there are
Hmm.
two to three very, very important things that you should be really good at. One is stakeholder management. I think I did not cover that before, but stakeholder management is again very, very important, especially when you're sitting for an interview in a bigger organization. It might not be very important for a startup or an early stage startup, let's say, because there are not a lot of stakeholders around you. And again, at a lead position, you have to resolve a lot of conflicts with the stakeholders, right? So I will try and understand if that person has that quality or not with his past experience. And if not,
Okay.
probably I'll try and understand him the importance of that, because that is also one thing that people look forward towards when hiring a leadership role, right? Second is if the person has been mentoring few people around him or not.
Okay.
Now, that mentorship could be either collaborating with junior designers and working on a certain project, or it could be outside as well. Like, you are not directly collaborating with the person, but you have been a
Hmm.
great mentor to someone in some other team, or you have been
Okay.
a great mentor to an intern or to a junior person or to a visual person, and you
Hmm.
are helping them understand your skill set. For example, you are a product designer or a UX designer and you have certain great skill sets. Let's take an example of design thinking, and the other person who is probably really good in visual skills have not does not have that great design thinking skills. Are you able to mentor that? Are you able to, pass on your skill sets to the other person in the team? So I think
Hmm.
these are few skills that probably I'll try to assess by talking to the person. When you present your case study or when you talk about your experience in your past organizations, you should, in a very subtle way, make the other person know that how you have managed the conflicts, how you have aligned the stakeholders at different point of time, how you have
Hmm.
managed the conflict with different people, how you have mentored your juniors or how you have collaborated with your juniors to come up with a solution as a team. So
Hmm.
I think these are
Got it.
few again soft skills that probably the person will not be able to change overnight, but then at least helping that person understand that first of all these skills are very important, and second,
Hmm.
it's also very important to make the other person who is taking your interview know that you are good in these particular skills.
How would you, if you have identified someone in your team who has a potential to get the promotion, right, but lacks, let's say, communication, right, conflict resolution, right, and let's say these two skills, right? How would you then mentor this person to get the lead role promotion?
Sure. So I'll take an example of one of my team members. This from almost a year back. So this person was not very great with the communication skills. I first of all let him know, and second, give that person platform to showcase. Correct. Starting with something very small could be the first step. You are sitting in a small, yeah, like you are having a small team meeting, and I give that person opportunity to, present something for a very quick presentation, quickly present for 5 minutes. Can you just talk about it, like without making that person prepared in advance, but just on the prompt telling that person to quickly talk to the team or present to the team. That will boost a little bit of confidence in that person, right?
Mm.
And then slowly and gradually making that platform a little bigger. Let's say, like, the next time I tell that person to be prepared so that that person can present it to a group of 15 people, which again could be a next step. The next step, presenting to top leadership of the company with clear presentation in mind, with clear written thoughts somewhere as a prep note so that you know what you have to say, right? And you're already prepared for it. So, getting out of your comfort zone is one, and getting the platform for yourself, asking for it. Can I do it?
Mm.
Can I present it? Can I talk about it? Can I
Right.
do a workshop? Can I present it to the stakeholders? Can you back me up? Asking for the opportunities and asking for your
Right.
managers time and support is also something very important, because if
Got
you
it.
know that you have a support of your senior, then you automatically get that confidence in yourself,
Confidence.
right?
Yes.
So I'm just
Yes.
taking
Yes.
this particular example of communication and presentation. Start with small and then go on to a bigger role in that particular skill set.
Mm.
When
Okay.
I gave this feedback to the person, and I was very happy to see a positive changes in that person, and that person did get promotion, and I think is on the right track, to still keep on improving on that skill set.
That's great to hear. We've so far covered a lot of things in a very short amount of time. I wanted to talk about things that you should have in your portfolio as a lead designer. The last 2 3 years, this has been standardized and it has been told to every single person, be it junior or a lead designer, that you should have impact in your case studies. What do you expect in impact from the lead designer portfolio or a design senior designer who's transitioning to a lead role now,
Mm.
right?
Mhm. I think at a lead position, when you're presenting something, the output
Mm.
really matters, because that again helps the person to understand what was the final flow. And if you have added any micro interactions, if you have added any transitions, etc., that's also gives an idea of how deep you go into your project, no matter how big or small the project is.
In
For an SPD, you should obviously know the impact, and you should be able to track it yourself on either of the panels that your company has, be it CleverTap, Mixpanel, Clarity, etc. You should know all the tools that your company is using, and you should be able to analyze the impact yourself and understand and identify the gaps yourself and come up
okay.
with a better solution. Sometimes I've also seen in organizations that the moment something is not working well, they immediately turn it off, right?
Hmm.
And a lot of time as a designers, we know that, audience or users will not immediately transition into something new.
Hmm.
It takes some time. So as
Hmm.
a lead designer, you should and you have to take a call sitting with your product person, helping them understand, let us give us some time to the users to see the
Got it.
actual impact and not just take it off. So, are you
Hmm.
able to have those conversations with your product team and an analytic person as well when you are at a lead position versus when you are at a senior position? At senior position, you may be like, following the product person or the analytics person and just understanding the impact or taking the output of that impact. Versus when you are at a lead level, you should sit with the analytical person and help him understand, this is the project I've done. This is my success metric as a designer, and I want you to have track points here. So
Hmm.
you sit with the analytics team and get your tracking on place, right? And then sitting with the product person and helping them understand what you want to track, why you want to track, and till what time period you want to track, and not just following what a PM is saying.
Got it. Got it.
So I think that's what
Hmm.
makes a difference between a senior person and a lead person. As a lead person,
Hmm.
you should take certain decisions yourself, and you should
Sure.
influence certain people in your organization.
Cool. Cool, Shruti. Thanks for coming on to the conversation. Thanks for having this conversation. Thank you for all your insights. Very detailed, very articulate. Hope to see you next time soon.
So thank you so much. I think it was a great talking. I've not
Hmm.
ever talked to in so much depth with anyone. I think it
Hmm.
just gives me a lot more perspective about actually a difference between a senior and a leadership role.